What is up, Internet World, and welcome to Accelerate. I'm Mike Van Hout, he's Ian McAlpine, and today we bring the all-new Toyota Land Cruiser. I'm Mike, and as you can see, I'm Canadian. Vredestein Tires has now hit our home and native land, and I've installed them on my Ram, these Pinza all-terrain tires installed at Canadian Tire, right here in Canada. Now, as we head into fall, I need a set of juicy, meaty, grilled to perfection tires for my 2019 Ram, and I couldn't think of any other brand except for Vredestein Tires, obviously. So I got Vredestein Pinza all-terrain tires, which earns a 3-peak mountain snowflake symbol on these bad boys. Look how meaty they are. So if you're looking for a European brand with over 100 years of experience, designed for performance, head over to your Canadian Tire and ask for Vredestein Pinza all-terrain tires for your truck, SUV, and minivan. Ian, you're supposed to take the shot, not be part of the shot. It's Pinza, right? Pinza. Pinza. This is $92,000, and when you tell anybody that's a boomer that owns a Toyota that this is $92,000, the first thing they'll tell you is this: you know what I bought my house for? $8,000. Well, the world's changed, buddy. This is the all-new 2024 Toyota Land Cruiser, and it's been shrunk. Honey, you have shrunk the kids. This Toyota is now between the 4Runner and the Sequoia. Yup, they've taken the most premium Toyota they ever built for the off-road and made it smaller. Now, it is only available as a 2-row, not a 3-row, because the 4Runner is a 7-passenger. So this is a 5-passenger. So if you're looking for a big, honkin' Land Cruiser from back in the day, you'll have to look at Lexus, even though there are cup holders and a USB-C in the 3rd row. Now, this is really smart from Toyota's marketing team. They've taken the historic name Land Cruiser and put it on a really big FJ, because that's what this specific one looks like. Look guys, the old Land Cruiser was very, very expensive. This one is way cheaper, like way cheaper. It's also way smaller, but the price point is this. It starts at $57,400 in the US. Now, this is a fairly loaded one because this is a first edition here in Canada, but for $57,400, getting the nameplate Land Cruiser actually means something. And it's genius because it's gonna bump up the volume. There's not a lot of people spending 80 or 90 grand US, which is what the old one started at. That was a lot of money for a Land Cruiser, because they have Lexus for that, right? Now, in terms of platform, it's not built on a car platform. It's still built on a truck platform. And that truck platform it shares with the Tacoma, the Tundra, the Sequoia, the GX, the new 4Runner, and even the LX of past. Now, I know what you're thinking. The last Land Cruiser had a V8, and this one has a 4-banger. How do you go from a V8 to a 4-banger? And then the Lexus, which is the same platform in the GX, has a 6. This has a 4. Now, let's launch this thing and see how fast we can get to 60.
Under the hood of the Land Cruiser is a 2.4-liter turbo paired with a single electric motor that outputs 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. This does have an 8-speed transmission.
It's the same motor as a Tacoma, so let's go. Foot on the ground, and here we go. Okay, front head lifts, nice. Shift to 55 on RPM.
We filmed 6 vehicles on this TNGA-F platform, and here's how the Land Cruiser stacks against the rest. Last place.
Now, first things first, you're gonna see Land Cruisers with round headlights or square headlights. And you're wondering, like, what is the difference? Do you want square or do you want round? And that comes to do with models. When you get the base model, you get the round. When you get the first edition, you also get the round. When you get the regular Land Cruiser, well then you get the square. Just versions. Cool that they have that choice. Now take a look at this hood. I like how they have this little unibrow here in piano black. Then you have this big bowstring front grille with Toyota, very, very retro of Toyota. Keep that square design. Then down from there, you have a big monster bulky bumper. Then you have a front fog lights, Parktronic, and a front camera. Then what about underneath? Do we have a skid plate? The answer is yes, we do. Is it very durable? Well, it feels that way. You have 1 and 2 tow hooks deep underneath. They're not colored, they're just simply black. Now these fog lights have an optional button inside the dash that allows you to go yellow. So they go white or yellow. Now people are confused about this. Why have the same fog light and have 2 different colors?
So, amber and yellow fog lights are the most effective colors for improving visibility in fog, rain, and snow, compared to white light. Yellow light contrasts against dark backgrounds, making it easier to see obstacles and road markings, and yellow light is less likely to reflect off moisture in the air.
Guys, we are so close to 1 million subs. Please do us a favor and get us close to touching that 1 million subs. I think we're like 2 weeks away. We love you guys. To the side of this Land Cruiser. Now you're wondering what color this is. It's called Trail Dust. And it's a 2-tone color. At the top here you have light gray. Now when I first saw it I thought, oh, that's white. But it's not. It's actually a little bit more muted than white. White would be a little bit more harsh. This is a nice blended color scheme. Anyways, this is the first edition, so it's got a few extra tidbits. One of them is this roof rack. The second one is these rock rails. The third one are these mud flaps, which I find really interesting. And they also have that front skid plate I talked about earlier. You have 18-inch rims with 18-inch LTX trail tires from. You have inner fender liners in the front and back that are carpeted for a quieter cabin. You do have these fender flares that are plastic and durable, well, because it is a Land Cruiser. Really small side mirrors that are in piano black with, of course, an indicator built into them. It does have blind spot indicator as well as heated mirrors. This design here is very apparent. It's the same concept as the GX. It kind of look very, very similar. Now remember, this is a Land Cruiser, so you have real technical tidbits. Starting with the rear locking differential. Cool. The front has a mechanism that can disconnect the front stabilizer bar. Cool. What else? What other fun stuff do you have? You have crawl control. You have hill descent. You have all kinds of fun stuff to have fun off-roading in your Land Cruiser. Now that's off-road. What about on-road? Well, this Land Cruiser has Toyota's latest Safety Sense 3.0, and that gives you dynamic radar cruise control, road sign assist, pre-collision system with pedestrian detection, cyclist detection, and low light pedestrian detection. That's a lot of detectionists with your new Land Cruiser. Now a design feature that you have on this Land Cruiser is these little tiny skinny trim elements that allow you to have as much glass as possible. What this does is it really reduces blind spots, especially with these big type vehicles. Usually you have a very big C-pillar. Like look at all the domestic product we reviewed. The Yukon, the Escalade, they're very, very heavy in terms of what a C-pillar looks like. But in this specific case, very tiny. It's really not much here. So the back looks like the front. Cool, funky, and amazing. I just love this modern take on retro with this Land Cruiser, especially when it comes to the design elements. At the top here, you'll see that light gray color flare through this upper spoiler. You can see that it does have a third brake light. It's a little one, but it's there. You have a black glass that has an ability to open. Yup, like the good old days. I love this. This is amazing because when you're a kid, you can just hide back there when your dad's driving up and down the beach or the desert or wherever you're from, and you can have a good time in the back as a child. Those are my memories. Anyways, closing this, you have more of the same trail dust color, which I love. So if you're looking at buying a Land Cruiser, I would suggest this color for sure. You have the I-Force Max because the motor that's inside this Land Cruiser that is in black, not chrome. Thumbs up Toyota. More Toyota badging there. Of course, this is how you open up the trunk or tailgate. Boom, up it goes. I find Toyotas, just in general, are really slow in terms of its seats going down, its trunk lid going up. This is the normal speed that it does its thing. Anyways, off it goes, down you go. You have a little bit of a sill here in plastic. You have Parktronics on the back. And if you're wondering what this can tow, it tows 6,000 pounds. across the board. Now, if you're wondering where the spare is, it is not inside the cabin. It is underneath here, just like the good old days. Let's talk about this interior. It is very functional. There's no complaints whatsoever. The door panel has 2 memory seats. It has, of course, power windows on all 4 sides. What about the folding mirrors? Well, I hit this button and boom, the mirrors fold in. So there's those good features. I have heads-up display. I have a 12.3-inch screen in front of me, a 12.3-inch screen for everybody else. I have vents where they need to be, round on the side. In the center, they are rectangular. I have physical buttons for my HVAC, including my ventilated seats, all thumbs up stuff. I do have a 360 camera, 3 USB-Cs. I have a wireless charger right here. Then I do have drive modes. When I just turn this mode select, I have all my drive modes showing up there. Eco, normal, and sport. And then I have MTS, which is the off-road modes. I have auto, dirt, sand, mud, and deep snow. They're all right there, everything in front of me. A start and stop button, a button underneath for tow and haul, all the buttons you need, electromechanical parking brake, auto brake hold, front differential, rear differential, stability program, disconnecting the stabilization bar, your high, your low, all the buttons you need. But there's nothing authentically Land Cruiser, except for 2 things, small things. One is, check out this trim here. It looks to be like a bungee rope. And then down here it says Land Cruiser. But that's about it. I know it says first edition on the door, but yeah, it's cool. But I want a little bit more fluff. There's no complaints whatsoever. Now, in terms of this 12.3-inch screen, all your buttons are very standardized, just like everything else in this Toyota Land Cruiser. But you do have this feature that pops up when you hit the off-road information button that shows you what mode you're in. In this specific case, it's deep snow, then mud, then sand, then dirt, then auto. And the only thing that really changes is the color or background color. Nothing with real effectiveness. Yeah, you do have your brake, accelerator, and then of course the different pitch angles you have there. But really, it needs more excitement, man. Come on, it's a Land Cruiser. No complaints whatsoever. So let's jump in the back seat of this Land Cruiser. So this is how you get in. You gotta put your foot all the way up, kind of slide in, and boogie over. So in the door panel itself, you have 2 decent size, I would say, bottle holders. Your armrest, how do they feel? Decent amount of padding. You got the first edition again to remind you that you're in the baller version. There is no panoramic sunroof, just a single sunroof up there, but I do have vents here, so I don't feel like I'm dying back here. And what about the third row? Is there vents? There is also vents there, so you can technically point both vents to yourself in the second row. These seats do recline, so this is, come on up, there we go. That's the first position, and then this is the lowest position. These seats do not slide backwards and forwards, they just simply tilt up. And then you have 2 USB-Cs right there. You have a 12 volt, and then you have a climate control. This does have 3-zone climate control. It does have 14 speaker JBL that shows you right there in the door with the tweeter. You do have some storage here, and then what about the cup holders? Pull this down, you got 2 of them right there. Now let's open up the tailgate and see how much room we have in our Land Cruiser. Now keep in mind, this is generally called a Prado in the rest of the world, not a full Land Cruiser. Voila, it says Land Cruiser right there. So this is what you get. You get this little tray, sort of, maybe not tray, but more like a plastic thing that holds things together so it doesn't fall out of the cabin. Drop it down, you'll see a higher load floor, and that is because it has a battery underneath here. Now this is interesting. A lot of room, for sure, but what is up with this? Why are there cup holders and a USB-C port? Well, remember, the Prado is sold as a 7-passenger in most of the world, except for here. And it makes sense because they don't want to cannibalize the new 4Runner sales because that is the third row. Now, how much room do we have? As far as depth goes, we have 41.5 inches. As far as width goes, we have 45 inches, which is amazing. And height, because this is shaped like a box, what do we got? We got 32 inches. Now, let me show you how much room you have when you put the seats down. And do they fold flat that you can put a mattress in here and sleep when you're taking it off-road? No, because of the battery pack or because these seats are bulky. I'm not sure, but you cannot fold this flat. You'd have to raise this floor in order to level up with this one, but it does have a slight angle. And do these seats come up? Well, you just saw it. They do come up. Yes, there we go. So this is, I assume, to get into the back, but into the back of what? There's no third row. Now to the back of the console, how much room do we have? Well, I think just the height difference is going to make this tough to use in terms of like usability, I guess. You've got 75 inches, which is 2 inches north of 6 feet. I don't think anybody buys this Land Cruiser and thinks to themselves, I want to drive fast. No. Now this is on the same chassis as the GX, which is a ladder or body on frame. So you'd expect this to be really bumpy and harsh and hard, and it's not. It actually feels very similar to the GX. It doesn't have as much insulation, it's not as quiet as the GX, but overall it feels very GX-like. I would say a budget GX if anything.
Now you may be asking, why would I buy a Lexus GX 550 over a Land Cruiser? Well, the big difference here is the twin turbo V6 in the GX 550. It can also tow 8,000 pounds, so a little bit more than the Land Cruiser, and it does have that optional third row that the Land Cruiser doesn't offer here in North America. So you'd buy a Land Cruiser because it is better on fuel and it is cheaper. Regardless of which one you choose, they both take premium fuel. Fuel economy isn't out of this world, but it's honestly quite good for something this large. The Land Cruiser should get you 23 miles per gallon combined, or about 10 liters per 100 kilometers combined. During our time with the Land Cruiser, we were getting 12.4 liters per 100 kilometers, or about 19 miles per gallon, given that we weren't really driving it efficiently anyways. Now, the purpose of the hybrid system in this Land Cruiser isn't exactly for fuel efficiency. It's more designed to assist you with towing and helping you off-road with low-end torque.
Now driving it, I do feel very boxy, very high. I do get a ton of looks in this thing, and to be honest, it is peppy enough. How's visibility? Pretty good considering this is the box. And steering, how's steering? Well, I will tell you that it has body roll for days. Body roll for days. It's not designed for this. It's designed to have a center locking differential, which it does. It's designed to have a rear locking differential, which it does. It has a low gear. Important stuff when you're buying an off-roader. That is what it's for. I'm totally botching the terrain that's supposed to be in. Now the cool part about the Land Cruisers is that you can get a stripped down version. You don't have to get one with this 12.3 inch screen. You can get an 8-inch screen. You get wireless CarPlay and Android Auto anyways, so what's the difference? You don't have to get all these frills. Who cares about the wireless charger? If you want it, get it. You don't want it, don't get it. What about the sound system? It's got a 14-speaker sound system. You want it? You can get it. You don't want it? You don't have to get it. Yeah, you don't have to spend all the dollars, and that's why they're gonna sell a ton of these things. It is like almost 30 grand cheaper than the last one that came to the US. That is a huge price difference, especially when everything's gone up in this world. Now, it is smaller than the last one. It is definitely more economical than the last one, but I do like how they pulled the nameplate from that and put it in this. So that's it on this brand new Toyota Land Cruiser. If you guys like this review, please do us a favor and give us a sub. That's it for me, Mike, and Ian, and we'll catch you on the next one.